everyone. Welcome to Litigation Help. My name is Heather, and joining me today is Laura Tarcea.
Thank you.
Laura, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I have a few more questions to ask you. I know we did a few videos last month on mediation, I personally, I support the process of mediation very much, but I think that it's really important for everyone to understand it more fully about what mediation entails. And one of the questions that I had was, how would one go about choosing a mediator?
That's a very, very, very good question. It's a critical question. However, it's also a very challenging question to answer. Because it depends on case by case.
Okay.
So we deal with a lot of family cases. So if there is, for example, a family situation, a family breakdown, then you may want to choose someone who has experience in dealing with family dynamics and relationships.
Right.
That's not to say that you cannot bring someone else in the family in the mediation. So what I think it's very important for people to know is that mediation, you can choose the mediator, but you can also choose an expert in the mediation process. So you can choose a mediator with a particular background to fit your situation, your case. But in the mediation process, if there is a financial, let's say, complex situation, right. Or if there is a child related situation that's really complex and it requires expertise, you can bring that expert into the mediation process to inform not only the parties but also the mediator as an extra tool to continue to progress through the mediation process. I'm not sure whether that answered fully the question, but needless to say, you look at the background of the mediator to match your particular case, right. And your elements of that are the dispute or need resolve.
So what I think I hear you're saying is you could just hire a mediator, say a general practice mediator, if you will. But if there are really like specific technical issues, we could the parties could bring in an expert.
Absolutely.
Now, would that expert be? Now I know that I come from court, so everything is adversarial. So the different parties they take in different experts. In mediation, is it like that? I mean, do the parties have to hire their own experts?
No. They would consent.
Okay.
On an expert who comes in and would provide information on that issue in a rather just neutral way to both parties and to the mediator. Right. So it's a very easy to customize process in order to bring resolution to even the most complex issues that exist in a particular case.
That is really amazing because I'm so fixated in my litigation mind that, so in court you have your parties bringing in their experts, and the experts sometimes they're not supposed to, but a lot of times the expert will give testimony in a way that's very favorable to whoever hired them. So now you're saying that in mediation, the expert doesn't have that kind of like
mandate,
hired gun.
No, not at all. The expert, and as well as the mediator, is part of the team. Is part of the team working there for the parties and with the parties to bring resolve, and not to instigate any issue or bring a leg up from one over the other. That's not their goal.
That's really interesting. I always find that mediation is like the fundamental mindset is very different. The approach is very different from court, which is so great. Now, so is there like a directory of mediators? I mean, in the old days we go to yellow pages, I guess. But what do people do nowadays?
There are a few organizations who accredit mediators. Individuals can go on the website at OFM. I think there's ADRIO, there is FIDRIO, and there's also they don't have much presence in Ontario necessarily, but there's also Family Mediation Canada, FMC. I believe that's their website. And so all of these organizations are organizations who accredit mediators.
Right.
So at the very least, you would know that these mediators who are on their directory are certified, and they have a particular skill set. So they've undergone some education, that they've acquired through courses. So at least that. But also, I mean, it is important for everybody to exercise due diligence when they go on these websites to find mediators. It is important, and I encourage families all the time. Not everything fits everyone. So, and not every mediator will fit everyone, whether they're certified or not certified. So I encourage families to call them, to call the mediators, to call a couple of mediators, to understand their approach, to understand what's expected of them, to understand what the process is like, to understand what the billing is like, because that's a huge that's a huge element in this process as well, right? So that is something that and they have to make sure that the approach is the right approach for their particular situation, and in our case is for that particular family situation.
Oh, that's interesting.
So yeah.
So it's almost like the chemistry. You have to make sure the chemistry is right.
Absolutely, right. Because you know what, that professional is going to help you and your former spouse, in the family context. I mean, resolve issues that are very, very important and that have long-lasting effects.
Right.
So the families are going to live with these decisions for the rest of their lives. So they have to make sure that the professional not only is accredited but also has the particular background and understanding to fit their situation.
Right, because I mean, I think that in mediation you probably would go through a lot of very personal issues as well. So
extremely, and a lot of emotional, and a lot of personal, and lots of there's lots of baggage. There's lots of hopes, dreams, and sometimes. Even before families come to the table, they don't themselves know how they're going to react to a particular new step now, reorganizing their family situation for post-separation. So it's a very, very delicate dance, and it's a very, very important aspect for them to make sure that they click with the mediator and they understand what the mediator's background is, what types of files and cases they've worked with previously, do a reference check type of thing. I mean, go around and see if you've heard of this particular mediator, and take it from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that is fantastic advice, because it basically I know that when I was looking for a lawyer, I was so intimidated by lawyers in general that you almost feel like, I can't check that, I can't go check. But now you're saying that actually it's okay to kind of like maybe word of mouth or ask around, So yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's great. So one final question I wanted to ask is how do the parties go about picking a mediator that's mutually acceptable to both of them? Because obviously, like let's suppose I'm in a dispute with somebody, and I mean I really like you, and I was like, well, I want to hire Laura, but of course they're not going to be too happy, because the mediator, obviously they have to stay neutral. So is there like a mechanism or a process that people go through to hire a neutral mediator?
Yes, sure. Generally, if people cannot agree on one mediator, they can propose. They can propose a couple of names. They each propose a couple of names, and hopefully they come to an agreement. I think what's important is in the process of selecting a mediator that both parties have the opportunity to call that mediator, to have a consultation, a brief understanding again of how their approach is, what the process is, and all of that stuff. So even before selecting a couple of names, I think it's a good exercise for both parties to call that mediator, even if they think they may not really want that mediator because my former spouse proposed it and therefore I don't want to. But it's important that you may want to call that mediator to understand how they go about the process, because they may be surprised in how well they fit right? So
keep an open mind.
Keep an open mind, because in the end, is not who suggested. In the end, is the work of the mediator alongside with the parties. That's the most important aspect.
Well, thank you very much, Laura, and thank you for watching. And see you at the next video.